The lawyer's voice carved the room in two. The remainder of Miss Hale's estate, including controlling interest in CHC Enterprises, valued at $54 million, shall transfer in full to Mr. Franklin Hale. For a heartbeat, even the air forgot to move. Gavin's grin stalled, then cracked down the center. His fingers trembled against polished walnut. "I'm sorry," he said softly, as if asking the table for mercy. "Did you just say him?" 3 days earlier, my life was measured in small rituals. A one-bedroom off Clearview Avenue, a radiator muttering through winter, a coffee mug splitting along an old hairline and bleeding warmth onto yellowing linoleum. Mrs. Barnett's voice came through the paper-thin wall. "Your sprinkler's flooding my roses again, Franklin." I didn't answer. Some things you let go when there's no one left to notice you're holding on. Then the old wall phone rang, the one Camille insisted on, reliable in a crisis. A precise voice introduced herself as Natalie Mercer, Brantley and Wynn Legal. Camille had died. The funeral would be Friday. The will would be read. "Your presence is required." Required. An odd verb for a man who had been unnecessary for 15 years. At Riverside Memorial, wealth wore grief like a tailored coat. I sat in the back. The eulogy scrubbed Camille into vision and philanthropy, forgetting the woman who once drew a business on napkins at 4 a.m. Gavin arrived late, bracketed by men with the posture of private security and the smiles of acquisition. He didn't turn. Of course he didn't. Upstairs, the lawyer began with Gavin's portion. The Wellington house, the cars, $500,000. I saw the flinch, small, fatal. Then came the empire, for me. Gavin laughed once, thin and cold, called it manipulation and madness. The lawyer unfolded Camille's letter. "Franklin, you were never ambitious, but you were steady. Gavin, my son, you inherited my fire, not the price it asks." Gavin's chair scraped, rage echoed down marble. I stayed seated, holding the impossible. "Why me?" I whispered. The answer, because in the end, she loved you more than she loved the empire. Love can weigh more than iron. What does a man do with everything when he has practiced living with nothing? The folder felt heavier than paper should. Transfer notices, certificates, a letter stamped chairman onboarding, urgent. I closed it and looked at our old photo on the fridge. Camille's half smile, Gavin's arms around our legs, my face steady in ways I don't recognize anymore. By morning, I belonged to headlines. Ex-husband, named sole heir to $54 million fortune. Talk shows diagnosed Camille from a safe distance. Gavin called me unfit, a relic, proof sentiment ruined strategy. He wasn't wrong about my resume. I had never run a boardroom, only a life modest enough to forget. CHC's lobby breathed chrome and glass. Eyes flicked, recalibrated, slid away. Natalie moved like a metronome through corridors that smelled of success and disinfectant. The boardroom waited with Camille's chair at the head, a throne I had no wish to wear. "Do you intend to run day-to-day operations?" someone asked. "No," I said, "but I intend to know what happens in every room that carries her name." Gavin shifted, voice smooth with accusation. Her judgment was impaired. Natalie's reply held winter. "Are you claiming she was unfit?" He didn't repeat it out loud. He didn't need to. Rumor works best when it keeps its coat on. Alone in Camille's office, the skyline pressed against glass like unanswered questions. In a bottom drawer, I found a hand-drawn sketch. Trees, benches, a narrow pond. Franklin's garden, she'd written. Underneath, some people lead by voice, others by presence. Build this and they'll understand. "They'll call it sentimental," Natalie warned when I told her. "Good," I said. "Let them remember we are human." A studio's red light glared that night. "What qualifies you to lead CHC?" the host asked. "I don't," I answered, honest to the bone. "But I know why Camille built it. Beauty where no one expects it, dignity for ordinary roofs. I won't let that be rewritten." The cameras cooled. The weight did not. I went home and placed the sketch on my table, beside the cracked mug and the radiator's unsteady breath. If a crown is too heavy to wear, can a garden teach the head to carry it? The first strike wore courtesy like cologne. An industry blog whispered about a legacy firm drifting under sentimental stewardship. Files I asked for went missing. Meetings shifted by minutes. Smiles thinned at the edges like paper left in sun. Doubt didn't enter the building. It materialized inside it. HR flagged Natalie for insubordination. The word rang hollow and exactly right for what was intended. Remove the anchor and the boat spins. The receptionist stopped meeting my eyes. The young architect who first drew the rooftop plan was reassigned 2 time zones away. A special session arrived, euphemized as leadership continuity. I wore the same gray suit and the same resolve. Votes clicked like beads, 5-4, 1 left. Cynthia Tran, quietest on the board, sharpest eyes, looked at me, then down. Nay. Motion failed, no applause. Only the soft relief of a reprieve pretending it wasn't one. That night I climbed to the unfinished roof. Gravel underfoot, wind threading the steel. I walked the path Camille had drawn in soft steps, lavender by the vents, benches catching late light, a small steel plaque I could already read. To rest is also to build. The city below kept counting. The roof above learned to breathe. Back in my office, Camille's sketch lay in the trash, shredded taped corners torn again, as if patience were a crime. No cameras, no witnesses. I gathered the pieces and reassembled the path with clear tape, a mosaic of refusal. The next weeks I did the most unsettling thing a leader can do. I listened. Cafeteria Wednesdays, floor walk Fridays, open door, literal and otherwise. Someone slipped a note onto my desk. You're not what we expected. Thank you for staying unexpected. I folded it into my wallet like a passport. Then, a forwarded email landed without subject line, clipped sentences immaculate as fingerprints, investor, outreach, phrases like stagnation risk and emotion over execution. No signature, just initials carved into the white space. I didn't need the name. I could hear his voice. If whispers can unmake a company, perhaps a courtroom is where truths learn to stand upright. The courtroom's cold was built into the walls, not the air. Gavin sat with 3 lawyers, cufflinks bright as declarations. His counsel spoke first, velvet-voiced. Our position is simple. Mr. Hale acts beyond scope. Assets must transfer for reinvention translation. Remove the gardener. Pave the roof. Natalie stepped forward without theatrics. Your Honor, a sealed posthumous amendment to Ms. Hale's business will, filed with the estate attorney, assigns all voting shares to a trustee for a 5-year stewardship period. She set the envelope down, like a quiet verdict. The trustee named me, witnessed, notarized, dated a month before Camille died. The estate attorney, Kane, gravel voice, confirmed her instructions. Reveal upon challenge or at my request. He produced Camille's notes, fears her son might preserve the brand and forget the reason. Gavin stood without permission, then sat when the judge's eyebrow rose half an inch. When it was my turn, I spoke in the only register I own. I'm not trying to hold a throne. I'm trying to hold a compass. The rooftop garden isn't vanity. It's a reminder that height without ground is collapse waiting for an angle. 2 days later, the ruling came clean and clinical. The amendment stands, trustee authority restored, all restructuring suspended pending audit. Gavin left the room, a man whose reflection had finally refused him. We finished the garden with what the company had once thrown away. Broken ceramic from renovation errors became a mosaic path. Students from the neighborhood planted herbs in salvaged crates. Benches curved toward the skyline like listening. A bronze plate at the center read, "Grow what matters. Remember what roots you." People came. They sat without phones. They cried softly or didn't. Clients walked the path and said less than usual. The city kept counting. The roof kept insisting that not everything must. One evening, Gavin arrived alone. No tie, no entourage, a sweatshirt from a life before posture. I didn't understand, he said, eyes on the plaque. I thought if I didn't take control, I'd be nothing. We sat in a silence that repaired more than it demanded. But gardens are beginnings, not endings. What does repair look like when it finally learns to live downstairs? The work after victory was quieter. We restored people first. The architect returned with warm designs. The receptionist shared her daughter's graduation date. Camille's desk dents stayed. My office door remained open. I thought less of legacy and more of mornings, fixing sprinklers, watering rosemary, whispering promises to Camille. Gavin didn't return to the board but mentored students through Camille's initiative. He sent their photo. I replied with the garden at sunset. Bring them up. Culture softened, laughter returned, sketches whispered hope. When the last tile set, the mosaic breathed, to rest is also to build.